the third leg is gone, that's when I tend to see people, because they say, we're done. We're not doing it anymore. So I want us to think, and if you were here 9 years ago, some of you might remember some of these ideas, but I really want us to think about marriage and the three-legged aspect of marriage. And if you're not married, some of you may think, well, man, we can just tune this out. No, because these are some great ideas for you as a single person to say, who do I want? How do I want my marriage in the future to go? I can recall 9 years ago when we did this, especially when I did the talk on the sexuality of a marriage, I had a couple of people afterwards walk out and say to me, I was at that door where Michael's coming back in from, I was at that door greeting, and a couple people came out and said to me, man, Pastor, we loved what you had to say. We wish we would have known about this before. And there were a couple of ladies that were up in their 80s. They said, we wish we would have known about this way back when we were dating as teenagers before we got married. But the pastor never talked about it. The church never talked about this. Marriage. Marriages can be made in heaven, and sometimes some people can feel like there's sort of baby other place. But the reality is, once we do that marriage commitment and vow, we're called then to walk with each other and learn from each other and to grow with each other. That song, I love that song from the song that we just had up on the shore by Chris August called Restore. Marriages can be restored. And the reality is, if you never have a fight with your spouse, you're probably just simply married to a brother or sister. I mean, truthfully, most marriages fight at times. Because here you're taking two individuals who see things totally different at times, and they're bringing them together, you're coming together, and there's going to be sometimes fireworks. The question is, okay, with those fireworks, what do we do with it? With those fireworks, do we continue to have them go, or do we move on? Do we move on in life together as a couple? Well, this morning we're going to look at the fact that we are called to be socially connected. Ecclesiastes 3. I often use this at weddings. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 12 says, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So, you ladies, if you braid your hair, you braid it in strands of 3. In strands of 3. Rope is braided in strands of 3. There was the Hebrew concept, the Hebrew idea and belief that marriages were built on the strand of 3. The man, the woman, and the Holy Spirit. Just like we talked about before with conception. The Hebrew people believed that a child was conceived by the dad, the mom, and the Holy Spirit. 3 people involved in the conception of a child. A strand of 3 is not quickly broken. We are called to be each other's best friends. Here's a little quiz for you, or you can try it with your spouse. If you're married, simply ask them this afternoon, or on the way home from church, who's your best friend? Hopefully they're going to say, you are. I did it to Sue yesterday. She didn't know that I was maybe quizzing her for this time right now. We left where we were at, and we ran down to a bite to eat. And in the car, I said, so, honey, within life, who would you say your best friend is? Immediately, she goes, you are. Right? I mean, yeah, you did. Yeah, thank you. That made me feel good. Because the reality is, who do I turn to more for anything? Sue. Who do I fight with more than anybody else? Sue. I mean, but that's because we have that relationship. Called to socially be each other's best friends. Well, go with me to Genesis chapter 2. And this is going way back. Genesis chapter 2. Now the Lord God said, it is not good for the man, for Adam to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for Adam. Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the beasts of the field, all the birds of the air. He brought them to the man, to Adam, to see what he would name them. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. We say that a dog is man's best friend. Even the dog was not Adam's best friend. No helper was found for Adam. God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was sleeping, he took one of Adam's ribs, closed up the place with the rib. The Lord God made a woman out of the rib he had taken from the man, and he brought her to the man, and the man said, "Whoa! Woman? Really? Whoa! Man, what is this that you made for me? This is looking pretty good to me. This is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She will be called, whoa, woman. Woman. For she was taken out of man. For this reason, a man will leave his father and his mother and be united. For the King James uses the word cleave. The idea of cleave is to connect to be close to follow, to have that symbiotic relationship, that whatever's going on, you are with your spouse, that there is a joint aspect there. You are cleaving to your spouse, staying with them, and they will become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. It's interesting, the word woman, whoa, woman, is used over 708 times, and the root for woman is man. We are called to be together as one. Socially, to be each other's best friends. To be that support unit for each other. Okay, that's at creation. What does Jesus have to say when he shows up 5,000, 6,000 years later down the road? Jesus says, haven't you read that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female? Doesn't say male and male. Doesn't say female, female. But male and female to be together. And he said, for this reason, a man will leave his father and his mother and be united. So, in other words, that umbilical cord's got to be cut. Sometimes some sons don't want to cut their cord with their mom. Or I might want to say sometimes some moms don't want to cut their cord with their sons. Sometimes some moms or moms don't want to cut their cord with their daughters. They got to keep that cord. It's like that cord stretches for a couple of miles, but it's like, cut that cord. You know, about 10 years ago, I mentioned on a bike trip to a mom that maybe you need to start cutting the umbilical cord. And I still hear about it from her sometimes. She says, Pastor, you told me to cut it then, and I tried to, but now look. I should have kept that cord connected. And I said, no, you shouldn't. Because it says we are called to leave. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother, be united to his wife, and the two become one flesh. Christ is quoting from Genesis. For they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one pull apart. That marriage relationship, socially. You know, I find it interesting. When we're dating, for some of you, that might be right now, you're in the dating process. For others of you, it might be just a few years ago. For some of you, you might have to think back about 50 years from when you were dating. But when you were dating, weren't there those things that you loved to do together? You know, maybe it was going out for walks. Maybe it was cross-country skiing. Maybe it was biking, maybe it was going to the movies, maybe it was shopping, maybe it was cleaning the house, maybe it was just sitting, talking, maybe, you follow me with that? You look back to when you were dating, when you were trying to win over that man or woman who became your spouse, we do these things together. I always wonder why, when we put this thing on, those things that we try to do together with our spouse, oftentimes we tend to walk away from it. So when we're dating, we end up being that person's best friend. I mean, that's what we want to be. We want to be there with that person. We get married, all of a sudden it's like, you know, I really don't want to do that anymore. I really don't. I don't like shopping. You go shop by yourself. I really don't like walking. You go walk by yourself. I really don't like. And so we start to go like this because we're no longer striving to be each other's best friends. we don't stand out with each other. Song of Songs. I just find this amazing. 3 years ago I decided we're going to spend 2 years reading through the scriptures. 2 years. Right now, if you're reading with us, if you're not, I encourage you to take a flyer to take it home and start where we are, because within the readings of the 2-year plan, we are now, right now, reading the Song of Songs. I think that's amazing, because what's 2 weeks? Valentine's Day. It all just sort of fell into, somebody would say, oh man, that's just a coincidence. I say, no, that's God was sort of orchestrating this before I even thought he was orchestrating it to do this series right now during Valentine's with the Song of Songs. The Song of Songs is a book which Hebrew young men or boys were not allowed to read until they became of age. And in 2 weeks, you'll understand why. If you've never read the Song of Songs, I encourage you to read it. Because if you don't understand what's going on, you think it's all these flowery words. But when you really understand what's going on, it's like a triple X-rated book. Song of Songs. But the book is dealing with the relationship. A lot of people say, and I believe it is, the relationship between yourself, myself, and God, that marriage relationship that we have between ourselves and God, but it's also dealing with that marriage relationship that we are called to have with our spouses. Some people like to say, well, no. It's not dealing with marriage, it's dealing with just us and God. And I believe, no, it's not. It's speaking to me today of how I am called to love Sue. How I am called to give to her that which she needs or wants and desires in her life. To speak into her, to act into her life. Song of Songs, written by King Solomon, says this in chapter 2. The man says, like a lily among thorns is my darling among the maidens. What in the world is he saying? Well, if you see a bunch of thorns, what sticks out? A lily. When you go to a party and you're there with lots of people, who sticks out to you? I hope it's your spouse. I hope it's your wife. She is called to stand out. I mean, when you go someplace and you look over the crowd and you see your spouse, you say, whoa, that's mine. Like Adam saying when Eve was created, whoa, she's mine. God gave her to me. She sticks out. The woman says about the man, like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my lover among the young man. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. Okay, we'll get into that part in a couple of weeks, the fruit being sweet to the taste, but the idea of an apple tree in the wilderness. No smiles with that? You got to read the Song of Songs. You'll understand what I'm talking about here. An apple tree in the midst of a forest. I mean, typically, where do apple trees grow? They grow in apple orchards with a bunch of other apple trees. If you go out into a forest and you see an apple tree that's producing this amazingly great looking and great tasting apples, that tree stands out. The woman is saying, my man is like that apple tree. He stands out. He looks good to me. He looks tasty to me. And he stands out in the midst of all of the other trees of the forest. That's my man. Follow what I'm talking about here? You follow what the King Solomon is saying? To the woman, she stands out to her man. The man stands out to the woman. They desire to be each other's best friends. They desire to socially be connected with each other. That when they're in a group of people, they are drawn to each other. They are drawn to each other. Now I know that within the military side, we have lots of functions we have to go to. One of these times I'm thinking in my mind, in my brain, okay, do I speak up or do I just sort of be quiet? We have a lot of functions that we have to go to. Like in about 3 weeks, there's a Michigan Army Air National Guard ball up at Emily Grant. Typically, I get asked to go do the prayer, so I go up there and do the prayer. Sue gets all decked out in her finest. That's where she wore her little tiara, her crown last year. I mean, we just had a great time. But I can honestly say, I tend to get in trouble. Because it's pastor of chaplain. What do I tend to do? I tend to walk around and where do I leave my Lily? All alone at a table with strangers who she doesn't know. I get back to the table and I sometimes hear the words and then I say, well, you know, it's my job. But inside I'm thinking, you stupid guy, when are you going to learn? She is called to be, whoops, come back there, Maddie. She is called to be the Lily in my life. So whatever function, it doesn't mean I can't walk around and do what I'm called to do as chaplain or as pastor for an event, but I got to continue to go back to her. Got to continue to go and say, you are the one who stands out in the midst of all the other people. You follow me with that? Any of you do that at your work or your business? You leave your spouse? Am I the only bad? Am I am the only? You are a bunch of liars. Beats. After the series on marriage, we're going to have a series about telling the truth. Our partner is called to stand out to us. The author goes on here and says, he has taken me to the banqueting hall. His banner over me is love. Does that sound familiar to some of you? Takes me to his banqueting table. Banner over me is love. Some of you know that song? Well, sure. Okay, we'll have to try it sometime before you're done. It's an older song, like one of the original praise songs. Takes me to his banqueting table. His banner over me is love. Strengthen me with raisins. Refresh me with the apples from your apple tree. I am faint. Oh, my baby says I am faint. I love you with love. Do you hear that, sweetie? You're supposed to be faint with love? Yeah. Okay. His left arm is underneath my head. His strength is there. And his left arm is underneath my head. And his right arm embraces me. Okay, we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks from now. But socially, we are called to be each other's best friends. Deuteronomy. The Hebrew people understood this years ago. In the book of Deuteronomy, it says, if a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. For 1 year, he has to be free to stay at home and bring happiness to the wife that he married. Have any of you ever read that passage before? I think it's great. I mean, the Hebrew people understood when a man and woman got married, the man couldn't go off to war, he had to stay home to make his wife happy. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That's right. Stay home, make her happy. In other words, stay home and build, not just make her happy, but to build that social relationship. So that when the storms of the marriage hit, and if you have been married for more than 1 day, there's storms, aren't there? In marriages, there's fights, there's things that take place. When those storms hit, there is a foundation of socially being each other's best friends. Song of Solomon says this in chapter 2, and also multiple other places within the Psalms. Said, or in the Song of Solomon, daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you by the gazelles, by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. This verse is a whole singles weekend that I can do. an 8-hour teaching about being single and looking for the right individual to marry. This verse just simply gets into the whole idea. 7 or 8 times it's in the book Song of Songs, which is basically, it's not basically, it is saying to us today, we sometimes get into bed with somebody before you're their best friend. We have a whole skewed reality of what marriage is. We talk about somebody going off making love. Well, if they're not married, it's not that. We need to become somebody's best friend. We need to learn to trust them. We need to know who their family is, their heritage. We need to have a building of a relationship with them. And the physical aspect is the final aspect in that relationship. Biblically, it's called to come after marriage. And what is this saying here in the Song of Songs? Don't arouse those desires. Don't arouse that action within your body, within your mind and your body, until the proper time. Until the proper time. We got it screwed up. We tend to, what's the word? You hook up. People talk about hooking up or connecting up. We tend to hook up. There tends to be the casual aspect of it all. The reality is that's not what Scripture says. Scripture says we need to be each other's best friend. And there's a process. This is one of the aspects that 9 years ago, Sue and I were dating. When I did this series at that point in time, I never noticed these verses. I caught a bunch of other verses. And she said to me then, Greg, look at all these verses. Look at all these. They're exactly the same verse. And it's saying don't arouse that part of your marriage relationship, that part of your dating relationship until you're married, because you need to have all this other part of your relationship built. Socially, we are called to be each other's best friends. Now some of the how-tos. What do we call it? Well, I really think love is a bank account. Now, for some of you might think, well, this is sort of old. But love is a bank account. You know, the more money that I put in the bank account, the more I'm invested in that account. I've had a couple of stocks in my life, 2 stocks that went bankrupt. So really never come and ask me for advice what you might want to invest in. I talk to other people now to see what they suggest that I might do some investing in. The 2 of the stocks that I've invested in both went bankrupt. Thankfully, one was only about $700 and one had gone up to about $4,000 or $5,000. But it started about $2,000 when I had invested. So did I have a whole lot invested into it? Yeah, enough. But was it $400,000 or $800,000 or $1 million that I had invested into that stock and that went bankrupt? I mean, if that would have happened, I would have been pulling my hair out of my head saying, God, the sky's falling. The more we invest in something, the deeper our commitment is to that item or person. Little side note here. The more we invest in church, the harder it is to say, okay, bye, I leave you, I'm going to some other place, because you get invested. The more you invest in your work, the harder it is to say, hey, bye, I'm out of here, because you've invested yourself. Marriage is like that. We have the deposits and the withdrawals. The more we invest within our marriage, the harder it is to say, adios, amigo, I'm out of here. Because we've invested. Studies have shown that couples, once couples start to buy bigger ticket items, once they get married, start buying washers and dryers, the household things, even if they're in the apartments, or they end up then buying a house together, those bigger ticket items, once they start doing that and they investing together, then they start to realize, oh, we're in this. Our investment is to be together. Well, like a bank account, we have withdrawal, or we have deposits and we have withdrawals. Trick is to have more deposits than withdrawals. When a person has more withdrawals, that's typically when I end up seeing the couple. Seeing the individual. Because there's been more withdrawals. The bank account goes down into the debt. with that. Wednesday night, I asked the sermon study group, about 10 of them that were with me. I have some of my own thoughts I'm going to throw up on the next couple of screens, but these are just ideas from people that gather with me on Wednesday night, and any of you are welcome to come. Wednesday night at 6:30, we do a sermon study. There are 9 ideas. Number 1, communicate with each other. We've talked before a lot about I statements and active listening. Sue, I feel like this is going on in my life. That's an I statement. What do we typically say? You did this. Now, that doesn't do any good, does it? When we start pointing the finger, you did this. I statement is, this is the way that I feel. The active listening is Sue being able to say, well, it sounds like, Greg, you're feeling this way. It's not getting defensive. What do we typically do with each other? We get defensive. Old teaching there. I statements, active listening. Wednesday night study said, be sincere and honest with each other. Say what you need. Say what you want. You can't do things for ulterior motives. Otherwise, in other words, guys, you can't go to the mall and spend 3 hours with her just so that you get something when you get home. Ulterior motive? Well, I don't know. Looking at me like that. You can't do the ulterior motive stuff. You got to spend time together, quality and quantity time, share common interests, and know it takes work. And I love these ideas from the sermon study group. You got to be loyal with each other. Big one. We got to learn as an individual to follow Christ. Christ came to bring us reconciliation and forgiveness. We got to do that with each other. Reconciliation and forgiveness. And we need to learn about each other's landmines. What does that mean? That simply means that, for myself, having been married 18 years before, I have landmines from my first marriage that if Sue says something, it may in my mind go bam! And all of a sudden I go after her, and it's like, wait, it's nothing that she said, it's something that's a landmine from the past. All of us grew up within our home of origin, and there's things that maybe that tick us off, that sort of click that are that landmine, that your spouse may not mean anything of it, but from growing up years, it's that little landmine. We need to learn each other's landmines, old patterns, and try to change those old patterns. Ideas, advice from the sermon study. Now, my thoughts. Ephesians chapter 5. I don't have it up there, but Ephesians chapter 5 is the book on marriage. A book about relationship, and a lot of us would know these verses. Ephesians 5, it says in verse 21, submit to each other. Husbands and wives, submit to each other. The word there, submit, is also translated as the word respect. It means to lift each other up. It means the word submit is the word that is within the Hebrew. It's to place oneself under. It's a military term. I'm a lieutenant colonel, but I still place myself under the colonel or a general. I submit, I give respect to the higher position. Ephesians 5 says, wives, submit respect to your husband as to the Lord. Husbands, submit to your wife as to the Lord. It also says, husbands, love your wife. I find this so interesting because not only does Paul talk about the submit, the respecting of the woman to the man, and then the man has to submit and love the wife. We men know, basically, when I'm going to talk about some of these ideas now, these are generalities, okay? Generally, we men know how to respect. Generally, we men really know how to respect. I can say, hey, Jerry DeBoer, I really respect what you do. Man, you work 2 jobs for your family, and you are working full-time at one, part-time at the other. You are Jerry, I can look at you, and I really respect you. But how many of us men emotionally understand will love. Man, I'll go up to Jerry and give him a big hug and say, oh man, Jerry, I love you, man. Man, can we sit and talk? You look at me and go, Pastor, you're insane. I don't want to sit and talk with you like that. But respect. Men know respect. Women know generally how to love, how to nurture, how to give up their hearts. A woman generally wants to give and wants to serve and wants to. When I said earlier about the umbilical cord, of course, we men don't have that umbilical cord, but for most of us men, we're more ready at times to say, okay, kids, you hit college, you're moving out, okay, you're moving on in life. The woman is the one that says, typically, no, stay home, stay close, stay here, I want you. And that's what, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying generally that's what happens. Some of you are going to walk out and say, what is he saying? Generally. So are you with me on that? Men generally know how to respect, but not always how to nurture and love. Women know how to nurture and love generally, but not always how to respect. I can recall 9 years ago teaching this, standing back in the hallway on this Sunday, and had a couple of ladies walk out and said to me, "You totally disagree with you, Pastor." And I said to them, "You totally just proved my point. You just totally disrespected me. And you're walking out." They're like, "Oh, crap. Oops." Generalities, okay? Women tend to like to do things face to face. You know, if you go to a restaurant, more of the women are sitting face to face, and oftentimes the guys, maybe if it's a sports bar, the guys are sitting in the bar. They're watching the big screen TVs, and the women are sitting in face to face talking to each other. Ideas for you men. These are ideas for me. These are not just my ideas, these are ideas from lots of different areas and things that I've read about in the past. Ideas for men. Love her. Don't try to fix her. Don't we men want to fix our wives? She's got an issue. Don't we go to that fix it mode right away? That shell answer man. Anybody remember that from Reader's Digest? They had a little, always had a little thing in there called From the Shell Answer Man. One of you remembers that? That's good. Okay. Men, we don't need to fix our wives. Just listen to her face to face. Try to identify with her feelings. That gets into the reflective listening. Listen to what she says and say, it sounds like you might be feeling this way. I hear you saying that this is going on. It sounds like, I don't mean to make fun, but that's what, enter into her emotional what's going on. Express appreciation for all she does. Daily pray for her and pray with her. A couple of couples 9 years ago said to me afterwards, man, we're going to start praying for our spouses daily and pray together. I don't know if they're still here with us. I'm hoping that you still are doing it. Pray daily for and with your spouse. The whole movie War Room that we watched 2 weeks ago was about a wife praying for her husband. Apologize and admit when you're wrong. We men don't like to be wrong. But apologize. Take it like a man. Step up and admit you're wrong. Hold her hand. Look into her eyes. Make a weekly date night. Okay, men? Saturday the 13th. Put your name down back in the lobby. Okay? Tell your wife you're going out to eat. You don't have to tell her you're coming here, but just come here, spend time with her. Date time. Suggest the unexpected. Do things that are different. Give your full attention to her. Start and lead the conversation. Start and lead the conversation. Studies have shown that women talk anywhere from 2 to 3 times as much as men. We're a little bit different. I talk 2 or 3 times as much as Sue does. So sometimes it's not always, as I say, these are generalities. But men, start and lead the conversation. Speak highly of her to others. Support and praise her in front of her children, or all of your children. Women long to be lovers, to be a partner, not a mother to their spouse, not just chief cook and bottle washer. Men, great ideas for me to follow here. To be socially my best friend or the best friend in my way. So women tend to do things face to face, heart to heart. Men tend to do things shoulder to shoulder. Men tend to go out and work together. We work on the car together. You know, we go build something together. We go shoot guns together. Men tend to do things shoulder to shoulder. So as a man needs to learn, a husband needs to learn to do things face to face with his wife, women, I implore you. Ooh, big word. Implore. I beseech. Ooh, another big word. I encourage. How's that? I encourage you to understand and to learn that shoulder-to-shoulder business with your spouse, with your husband. Idea shoulder-to-shoulder. Respect him. Join him in play and work. And you may not like working on the car, you may not like doing woodwork, you may not like working in the garden, you may not, but hey, take them something to drink outdoors. Just go out there and sit with them for a while. 9 years ago, somebody said to me, man, my husband's always in the garage working on cars. I never thought about it, but you know what? The lady said, I started to just bring him some Diet Coke and just sit outdoors with him for a while. He's not in the car working, I'm just sitting there and we're just sort of talking. And he's talking to me. Go in the house, nothing. Working on the car, he's talking. Shoulder to shoulder. Express your pride in what he does. We men, we like it when our spouses, our wives have pride in what we do. Listen to his work, sports stories. Even the old stories. Keep listening to them. Okay, you're not going to want to sit in the front row next to the car. You're going to be embarrassed. You know I love you. Praise his commitment to the family. Build him up. Encourage his decisions. Support his self-esteem as a leader of the family. Be gracious if he makes a poor decision. Don't continually be saying, you always do this, or you never do that. The reality is, does your spouse always do that? I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, I've heard those words before. You always do this. And I've said, really? Do I? Yes. I hear you saying I always do that. I'm just wondering when's the last time I did that. Pretty bad when she can name the last time, but it typically is not always or never. So, women, try not to say that. Build him up. Support his self-esteem. Be gracious if he makes a bad decision. Don't play hit games because we men, you men, you're going to lose. If there's a hit game going on in the family, I'm going to lose it. Men can't win with hit games, generally. Don't play hit games with us. Tell them up front. Okay. So, what is a man's biggest need at times? To fix you. If there's a problem, not to fix you, the person. I mean, if there's a problem in your life, a man wants to fix the woman's problem. Typically, women just want the man to listen. Try this once as a wife. Say, you know, honey, I need help with this, and would you give me some ideas of how I can work this out, how I can fix this? In other words, I'm giving you permission right now to fix it for me. And another time, sometimes you just have to say, you know, sweetie, I don't need you to fix it, I just need you to listen. Sometimes let him fix things, sometimes just let him tell him he's got to listen. And know that boys have a blood brotherhood bond with other boys. See marriage as a union of co-equals, mutually submissive to each other as Christ, as Paul says in Ephesians. And ask yourself, is what I am saying respectful? Respect his vulnerability. Don't denounce his shoulder-to-shoulder time with buddies. It's a big thing, though. Ask yourself if what you're saying is being respectful. I think this goes for both men and women. I think a lot of times, I mean, I hear myself sometimes say some words, and the words are coming out of my mouth, and I'm thinking, why am I saying this? Because it is very disrespectful. We need to ask ourselves that question with each other, with yourself. You know, when you're talking to your spouse, what are the words that we use? Are we using words to build up? Are we using words to tear down? Are we using words that are respectful and loving and nurturing? Are we using words of you always and you never? Words of respect and love and nurture. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Face to face, shoulder to shoulder. Some of these ideas, for some of you, they're old ideas. We've looked at them before. Others of you, you're new in church here, and you'd be like, oh, these are some new ideas. I really encourage you to think about these ideas. And if anything, think about that phrase, face-to-face, shoulder-to-shoulder. Women tend to go face-to-face, men tend to go shoulder-to-shoulder. How can you as a wife go shoulder-to-shoulder with your husband? How can you as a man go face-to-face with your wife and build that marriage relationship? Because see, the beautiful thing about it is marriage is a model of the relationship that we are called to have with Jesus Christ. He is the bridegroom, we are the bride. What we do within our marriage is that same relationship between us and Jesus Christ. Be each other's best friend. As you pray together, as we worship together, as we walk together, face to face and shoulder to shoulder. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Lord, this morning as we have spent